barely knew the man. He was my father's younger brother, the black sheep of the family. At every Thanksgiving, every holiday gathering, his absence was never explained but always felt. If his name came up, my father would change the subject. My mother would sigh and mutter, "Let's not get into that." So when a lawyer called me out of the blue to say that my uncle had left me his house, I was stunned. "Why me?" I asked. "You were named in the will," the lawyer replied flatly, as if that explained anything. "My siblings weren't mentioned. Neither were my parents. Just me. I was 28, broke, and stuck in a dead-end job. So despite the unease curling in my stomach, I drove out to the property a week later, papers in hand, ready to see what kind of mess I'd inherited. The house. The house sat at the edge of a forgotten town, half an hour from anything resembling civilization. 2 stories, chipped paint, shutters hanging by rusted hinges. It looked abandoned, and in a way, it was my uncle had lived there alone for years. Inside smelled of dust and something faintly sour. Old furniture sagged under sheets. Boxes lined the walls. The air was heavy, oppressive. I should have turned around then. Sold the place sight unseen, cut my losses. But something about the silence drew me in. Like the house itself had been waiting for someone. For me. The first night. That first night, I didn't sleep much. I unrolled a sleeping bag in the living room, surrounded by the faint hum of an old refrigerator and the groans of settling wood. I dreamed of footsteps in the hallway. Of a door creaking open. Of someone whispering my name. When I woke, the sun was spilling weakly through the curtains, and the house was still. But the dream clung to me. Exploration. Over the next few days, I began exploring. Most rooms were ordinary, a kitchen with rusting appliances, a study full of old newspapers, bedrooms with beds still made as if waiting for guests who never came. But at the end of the upstairs hallway, I found something strange. The wall didn't look right. A seam where there shouldn't have been one. The wallpaper pattern didn't quite line up. When I knocked, the sound was hollow. A hidden room. The room. It took me hours to find the latch. A tiny mechanism tucked under the baseboard. With a soft click, the wall shifted inward, revealing a narrow door. I hesitated before opening it. The air that seeped out was stale, untouched for years. Inside was a small room, maybe 10 by 10 feet. The walls were bare concrete, the single light bulb overhead long burned out. And in the center sat a desk. On it, stacks of notebooks. The notebooks. I opened the first one, dated 1987. I tried again today. The voices are louder. They tell me things I don't want to hear. But if I don't listen, the headaches come back. I don't know how much longer I can fight them. I frowned. Schizophrenia. Some kind of mental illness. But as I kept reading, the entries grew darker. I followed her today. She didn't see me. I know where she lives now. I couldn't sleep again. The walls were moving. I heard the boy crying. I think he knows I'm here. My hands shook as I turned the pages. These weren't just ramblings. They were confessions. The confessions. The notebooks spanned decades. Entry after entry, my uncle wrote about watching people. Following them. Desires he couldn't control. At first, I thought maybe he was just writing fantasies. Dark thoughts he never acted on. But then I found the newspaper clippings. Tucked between the pages were articles about missing women. Dates circled. Notes scribbled in the margins. And one entry that made my blood run cold. She screamed when I opened the door. I told her I was sorry, but I couldn't stop. I never can stop. Denial. I slammed the notebook shut. My stomach churned. No. This couldn't be real. My uncle was odd, sure. Reclusive. But a monster? I wanted to believe he was just sick. That the notebooks were delusions, fiction he wrote to give form to his demons. But the clippings said otherwise. The details matched too closely. And deep down, I already knew why my father never spoke of him. Why my mother avoided the subject. They knew. The family secret. That night, I called my father. "Why did uncle leave me the house?" I asked. Silence crackled through the phone. Then, finally, "He always liked you." "That's not an answer," I snapped. "I found something. In the house." My father's voice hardened. "You don't need to go digging. Leave it alone." "Did you know?" I demanded. "Did you know what he was?" The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then, quietly, "We don't talk about him. Not then, not now. Just, let it go." And he ended the call. Obsession. I couldn't let it go. For weeks, I devoured the notebooks. Dozens of them, filled with horrors I can barely bring myself to describe. Some entries were vague, "The hunger came again." Others were explicit, describing things I wish I could scrub from my memory. The last notebook ended abruptly, mid-sentence. "I can hear him in the walls again. I think he knows I." No date. No signature. Just silence. The basement. One night, I noticed something strange in the basement. The concrete floor was uneven, a section in the corner patched with newer cement. My chest tightened as realization dawned. I rented a sledgehammer. It took hours, sweat soaking my shirt, dust choking the air. But eventually, the cement gave way. Beneath it, I found bones. Human bones. The choice. I called no one. I should have. I know that. But the thought of police swarming the house, of reporters digging up my family's shame, I couldn't do it. Instead, I covered the hole. Ressa led the floor. Packed the notebooks back into the hidden room. And locked the door. Why I'm writing this. It's been 6 months since I found the room. I still own the house. I can't bring myself to sell it. Can't bring myself to live in it either. It just sits there, waiting. Sometimes I dream of my uncle, sitting at that desk, scribbling furiously, muttering to himself. Sometimes I wake convinced I can hear scratching in the walls. I don't know why he chose me. Maybe because he knew I'd understand. Or maybe because he wanted someone to carry the burden after he was gone. And now I do. Because every time I look in the mirror, I wonder if I'm more like him than I want to admit. The ending. I never told my father what I found. Never told my siblings. To them, uncle is just a name, a shadow they were told to avoid. But to me, he's more than that. He's the secret I can't escape. The room at the end of the hall. And the question that keeps me awake at night. Did I inherit the house? Or did I inherit the darkness inside it?